Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. This is our, I'm almost forgetting what day it is. I think a lot of people are in that boat. This is our Wednesday update, and we will be moving now to a regular schedule of twice a week updates. We'll do Wednesday and Friday this week, and then we will probably move to a Tuesday, Thursday schedule starting next week. But that's not because the need for vigilance in everything we're doing has gone down. A lot of folks have been chatting with me and saying, it feels like we're doing the right thing. It feels like we're flattening the curve. These things are true, and we should be proud of how we've worked together as a community to really save people's lives. But I cannot stress this enough. We're not there yet. In fact, since last we spoke, we have had the highest days of increases in cases that we have had since the beginning of all of this. And remember that even if you believe, and I don't think I do, and I know that the public health officials don't, but even if you believe that we're at the peak, remember the peak is only halfway. We have to come down on the other side. Remember that we have to be careful about secondary infection. Remember that in 1918, the Spanish flu claimed 5 million lives, roughly, in its first wave. In its second wave, it claimed over 50 million lives. So we're not done. And so I want to say to everyone, I want to say thank you for doing the work you're doing. I know it's tough. I know that it's getting even more difficult. I know that everybody is on edge. I know that we are all just waiting for the next thing. But I also know it's the right thing to do because together we are saving lives. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Tom Sampson, the Chief of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, who has a number of messages for you. And then I'll come back at the end and talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing on mental health. And then we will wrap up. So, Tom.
Thanks, Mayor Nenshi. I'll start out from an enforcement perspective. I want to thank all those people, as the mayor has just said, who have been doing it right. You've been making sacrifices in your life. You've been making changes in your life. And I know you all do it for a particular reason in your life. And I'm motivated that way. And I know that many of you are also. And I know it's hard. Now, from the perspective of enforcement, um, we've all been working hard together. And like I said, I know you're making great efforts. You're saving lives and you're heroes for it. I mean that. We're not just crash test dummies that can run into a wall and somebody picks us up and reassembles us. It's that situation that's created when you actually damage others. And you only need to look at one of the recent outbreaks south of Calgary to realize how many people have been impacted, how many lives have been changed by a very unfortunate outbreak. And so we're spending lots of time on education. But I'm going to tell you that I'm a little frustrated in the sense that there's some groups of people that don't seem to be getting it. So, um, starting very shortly, we will be encouraging our bylaw services, who will be working in conjunction with the police services, to use ticketing as a last resort, and we'll be asking them to consider that. And you should know that they will only use it as a last resort, but it's actually protect you and others around you. Um, a reminder that the fine for contravening the public health order is $1,200 per ticket. That's a serious piece of impact, and quite honestly, it's one we stayed right away from. Last night, I had occasion to go up on the Crescent Road, and it was completely. There were pieces of that roadway that were completely inappropriate. So it's my understanding after talking with roads today that there'll be changes in that area. The traffic flow will be reduced while people will still be able to get through. And folks should take that as a hint that um, if we can't correct those actions up there and we can't uh, be appropriate in those areas, we will take action. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm just trying to say you give us no choice when those things continue. Our Calgary Parks and our community standard staff have been proactively observing the usage of our high risk and high use park areas. And again, I thank you for the way that you've been behaving and the way that you've been acting. I'm so impressed when I go running, and yeah, I try and stay off on the pass less travel sort of thing. But when somebody sees me coming, they move out of the way, and I try and do the exact same for them. And I try and give them at least that 6 feet of difference, distance, sometimes more. Since last Friday, so over the last 5 days, our officers have conducted 240 odd patrols and engaged with over 1,800 citizens, providing them with the education. During that same time, 311 has had 152 service requests for bylaw about physical distancing concerns. So allow me to just run through just for a moment. 69 of those calls were about social distancing, 36 about social distancing concerns on private property, and 21 concerns about playground use, 26 concerns related to public gatherings, with less than 14 or not practicing safe distancing with people over 15. Um, Over the same time frame, and I'm terrible at stats, but let me try. There were 182 general inquiries to 311. So people just phoning in, sort of saying, "I wanted to go do X. Can I do that, or can I do Y?" And so our 311 folks, just a shout out to them for really trying to answer those tough questions for people around what you can and what you cannot do under the current health orders. Um, and I guess another call, a thanks to our Calgary Police Service, our friends in Calgary Community Standards. That's where the bylaw officers reside. Um, they're really practicing a lot of judgment and they're doing great work. And so we appreciate that. So, as you know, if I can switch tones for a moment, we're canceling some of the community cleanups. As the weather gets warmer, our thoughts turn to spring cleaning and all those sorts of things. And I'm sure you can understand that it's tough for us to hold sort of reception centers where you can bring everything. So, starting Tuesday, April 21st, so yesterday, residents are now able to leave out extra bags of waste. So, you can use your 3 carts. The recycling cart, we can't give you extras on. That just doesn't work for us. But hopefully, you can cut everything up and get it in there and get it condensed. But if your black carts fill, you can bag things and put them beside your cart. And you can do the same, of course, with your why is it not coming out of me? You can do the same, of course, with your green cart. I apologize. Those are paper bags, right? And make sure on those green carts you can roll the bags. You can roll them up so that folks don't have a problem. It doesn't all spill out when they go to get it. Now I just want to tell you this one because we had the cutest note um, for our folks in waste and recycling services, and it says, I want to read it to you. This is from Naomi, and Naomi says, "Dear garbage man slash lady, I'm writing this letter to thank you and let you know how much I appreciate everything that you are doing to help our community. I know this must be a lot for you, but I really appreciate how you're keeping us all safe. I'm really thankful to be at home with my family, to be able to continue to go to school online, and to be able to play outside. Without your help, I wouldn't be able to do any of these things because there would be garbage everywhere. Thank you for helping us during the crisis. I know you're an important member of our community because you take care of us by taking care of our garbage. Without people like you, people would not know where to put it, and we would have garbage piled up everywhere. Sincerely, Naomi." So I know it's a cute note, but there's a whole bunch of things there, right? First off, Naomi and her family, they're isolating, and good on you for doing that. She's also recognizing that there's more to this response than we have right now than just a couple of members of our community. It's a whole community response. And, we should all be appreciative that everyone's doing so much work in that regard. So I can't tell you how important your message is, Naomi, to all the folks in waste and recycling services. I wanted to chat with you a bit about our animals, and should you become ill or in need of hospitalization, there is a program. The City of Calgary Animal Services team is here to help. It's the safekeeping program, and we will keep your pet for you for up to 14 days. This isn't for you to go visit Aunt Mabel, okay? It's because you're sick. And if you're in trouble, we won't let you down. And our folks in Calgary Community Standards, again, will make sure that your animal is taken care of. Now, it's 14 days, but let us tell you that if you're stuck, if there's something that you're in hospital longer than that, we won't let you down. We will take care of you. So that's one program. But you can also go to the Calgary Humane Society, the Alberta Animal Rescue Society. They have similar services, and safekeeping for animals is there. So if you need service and you have a problem, call 311 and we'll try and help you out in that regard. Now, I would like to turn you over back to the mayor, and he can fill any blanks in that I may have missed. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Tom. I want to remind everybody that we are looking at every decision that we're making here through three gauges: physical health, mental health, economic health. And we're working hard at trying to balance all of those three things. But it's also important to remember that the number one concern right now is physical health. So you heard Tom allude to the outbreak at the Cargill plant in High River. Most of those people are actually in Calgary. And I haven't even seen the latest numbers, but I know that it was creeping towards 800 cases related to that outbreak, about one third of the cases we've seen in Alberta in the last few days. I want you to remember that was one person who may or may not have been symptomatic who went to work. And as a result, somebody's died, unfortunately. A number of people are very ill, and a number of people are in the position where, through nothing they ever wanted to do, they're spreading in the community. This is not over. You know, you will have noticed if you've been on a walk in your neighborhood, you will see that the flags at all of our city facilities have been lowered to half staff. That is, of course, today in recognition of the horrific events in Nova Scotia, and certainly our hearts and thoughts are with our friends and neighbors in Nova Scotia. But I've actually asked that those stay down, so that that is a reminder every time you see those flags that our neighbors have died, that our people have died, that people in our community have died. And I'm sorry to tell you, there will be more deaths. And so it's incumbent on every single one of us to do every single thing we can to protect others, to protect our families, to protect ourselves, and to protect others. And we're not done. We're not close to done. And we have to make sure that we stay in a position where we're still looking after one another. So I want to answer some questions very plainly, because people have been saying I'm confused. Perhaps they've been mixed messages. So I want to say, first of all, that the vast, vast, vast majority of people in Calgary are doing it exactly right, are taking personal sacrifices to really make sure that they're looking after their own health and the health in the community. And I want to say thank you to the vast majority of Calgarians who are doing everything exactly right. A number of people have bona fide questions, and they're curious, what are the things that I am able to do? So I'll give you some examples. Can I go running with my running group? No, not now. And I'll tell you why. There's two reasons for that. Number one is, when you're in a running group, it's hard to maintain that physical distance of 6 feet or 2 meters. Number two is, there is evidence that shows that if you're running and you're breathing heavily, because of your slipstream, the droplets can disperse further behind you than 2 meters, and it's hard to keep the running group fitting that way. But number three is a very basic one. If you got a running group, you're filling up the whole sidewalk or pathway and nobody can pass you. And so that's a very specific question. Can I do outdoor yoga with others? No. Can I arrange a picnic in the park with my friend as long as we promise to stay 6 feet apart and have a glass of wine? Well, first of all, you can't have a glass of wine in the park. That particular thing has been delayed. Um, but no, if you run into your friend and you want to chat with them from 6 feet away, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm asking is don't plan to do things like that. Not now. Not quite yet. We're just not ready for that. And I know that that chafes on people. And I know that people say, but my liberty, my rights, my ability to go out and do things. I just want to tell you, these are small sacrifices. This is not what our grandparents were asked to do to save the world. But ultimately, they are things that make a huge difference. And we don't want to be in a situation where we say to people across the community, actually, you can only leave your house and only one member of the house can leave once a week to go grocery shopping. Other than that, you're stuck in your house. We want people, remember physical health and mental health, we want people to get out and get some exercise and get some fresh air and keep themselves strong and healthy. But I'm asking you, do that in your own neighborhood. We are blessed in Calgary to have tons of green space. There are over 8,000 hectares of green space in Calgary. 95% of Calgarians are within a 5-minute walk of a park. I live out in the suburbs in Northeast Calgary, but I have a direct link, 5-minute walk from my house to the Rotary Mattamy Greenway, the largest urban pathway in the world. And there really are ways for us to be able to get this exercise, but really to look after others while we do it. If you are concerned about your mental health or you are concerned about the mental health of others, I want you to remember what I keep saying. Physical distancing does not mean social isolation. Reach out to one another. Connect with your friends and family. Make sure, especially people who are alone, know that they're not actually alone, that there are people who are looking after them. Make sure that your elderly relatives, in particular, who you can't really see, you are able to make sure you connect with them. Reach out to strangers. Google Calgary Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and you'll see a variety of ways in which you can do remote volunteering, in which you can help your neighbors, in which you can give back. If you find yourself struggling, and I know so many of us are on edge, don't be shy. Don't think that there's a stigma. Reach out for help. Call 211 right away. And the brilliant people on the other side of 211 will be able to help you. If you don't want to talk on the phone, check out the Government of Alberta's resources on the Alberta Health Services website under mental health, but make sure that you're looking after yourself. This is a time of collective grief. We're grieving for those we've lost. We're grieving for our ways of lives that we've lost. We're grieving for our businesses. We're grieving that we may not get back to the way things were together. And you know what? That's okay. Because we are, as always, all in this together. I just want to make sure that we're all thinking about this in a way that helps us understand why we're here. When I talk about clean hands, clear heads, and open hearts, this is where those three things come together. Clean hands means unlike a flood where we can't control the water, we, every single one of us, control the spread of this pandemic. And we control it by staying in our neighborhoods. We control it by staying home. We control it by washing our hands 20 seconds at a time, which is longer than you think. We control it by covering our coughs. But mainly, we control it by being clear headed, by looking after one another. And that's what clear heads really means. It means every single decision you make, every single thing that you would not have given a second thought to before, you have to be making that decision purposefully. You have to be making it with a clear head. You have to be making it in a way that you understand that it has an impact on other people. And open hearts. Ultimately, we have to look after ourselves. We have to be strategic. We have to be thoughtful. We have to be Calgarians. You know what? When I come here a couple times a week to the Emergency Operations Center, I don't want to be here. I have a 79-year-old mother who lives with me, and every time I open the door, I think to myself, what am I going to be bringing home to her? But I got to do it. I'd like to think I'm an essential service. But in reality, I think about that every single time. When I get home, the first thing I do is wash my hands probably for 40 seconds. I sing happy birthday 4 times. Clean the light switches and the doorknobs and anything I touched before I came in. And make sure that I am being as safe as I possibly can. I want to be out in the community. I want to be kicking off charity walks and runs, which is what I do at this time of year. I want to be high-fiving everybody at the Hike for Hospice. I want to be at the year-end banquets and the graduations. And I want to be talking to people about this amazing place that we get to live in. I might even want to go to council meetings from time to time. Let's not go too far. But right now I know that these small sacrifices, that these endless video conferences, that being able to do everything I can to keep people safe is keeping my mom safe. And it's keeping other people in the community safe. And that's why we have to do it. What we're being asked to do isn't hard. Stay home if you can. Make room for those who can't stay home. Be kind to everyone. Together we'll save lives. And even though every bone in your body says, I don't want to do this, it's important that all of us do the right thing. So with that, let's go to questions. Operator, can you let through the first question, please?
First question is from Scott Dipple with CBC. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Mayor. I was wondering if you could just provide a comment on the fact that the drop-in center wants to get some additional space to help Calgary's homeless and vulnerable populations. Just your thoughts on that, and is there anything that the city can do to assist that effort?
Oh, of course. I'm not aware of the drop-in center's particular ask, but I can tell you that our team in Calgary Neighborhoods has done a marvelous job, an absolutely marvelous job on assisting to make sure that vulnerable people in the homeless community, who really are our number one public health concern at the moment in terms of preventing spread, are looked after. So absolutely happy to help. Of course, I'm happy to resurrect the conversation about hotels. And, you know, I'll seed something now, which is this particular crisis has given us the opportunity to learn a lot more about the ways in which we're working with people who find themselves homeless. And you know, that photo that was shared a few weeks ago of the overflow homeless shelter at the First Alliance Church. Let me be clear, the First Alliance Church, man, they are God's people, and they are looking after everything in terms of what they're doing for folks, and I'm deeply grateful to live in a city with that church in it. But at the same time, when I looked at those pictures of kind of wrestling mats on the floor 1 meter apart and thinking to myself, this is the reality of so many people in our community, I also think to myself, why don't we use this as an opportunity to say, let's get serious about housing for people. Let's get serious about building housing with dignity so that we don't have to worry about public health in these shelter spaces. And I'm really interested in thinking about how we make that real as well. Did you have a follow-up, Scott?
Yes, just to follow up, I'm not sure if it would be for you or for Chief Sampson, but I'll just say, you know, if you find as the weeks go by here that even moving to ticketing by bylaw for people who are not following the rules, what would the next step be in terms of options, the next step along the continuum if you don't get good compliance?
Do you want to take it, Tom? All right.
I think that the challenge is that you know, a $1,200 fine is no small feat, and I don't think anybody revels in the idea of issuing a $1,200 fine to somebody. What I can tell you though is that cumulative fines under the Health Act become far more severe, and if you are intentionally doing something that spreads COVID, that includes jail terms. And so I think that and I hope, I pray that we never get there. I can't believe that people would have a series of successive fines and not respond appropriately. There's a number of people that think that they're bulletproof, and you know, I've got a son who's 32, and you know, he called me the other night and said, you know what, I've had 4 peers 4 of my peers in the same business in the United States have passed away from COVID. And he's 32, strapping, strong, everything you might imagine, healthy, no medical conditions, and 4 of his peers had passed away. This is not something that just picks on the old and feeble, that those who can't take care of themselves, those who are that we picture. Look at the young man from south of Calgary who was in ICU. He was a healthy 21-year-old business student. So I'm hopeful that we never need to get to repetitive tickets, that people really understand the magnitude of this. But I can tell you that if they don't, that Health Act is serious stuff. And then the second piece behind that is the Emergency Management Act is also very serious stuff. The fines there are up to $10,000 per occurrence and up to 1 year in jail. We're not really in a great position to ticket people under that right now. We're better to go under the Health Act. But I can assure you that those things are being straightened out by the province, but not because we want it, because hopefully we never have to go there, but we want to have it in our back pocket. Thank you.
Next question, please.
Thank you.
All right, next question is Madeline Smith with the Calgary Herald. Go ahead, Madeline.
Hey, guys. So I would just like to follow up a little bit about the future of ticketing in the city. So when you say that would only be used as a last resort, are there specific criteria that you're instructing bylaw officers on when to look at that option and when not to? And how do you avoid just sort of punitively targeting groups of people that might be outdoors anyway? I know places like Toronto are seeing some complaints about folks that are homeless and being on benches or being ticketed, or people just feel like they're kind of being chased around by bylaw officers. So how do you plan to balance those things?
I think it's a really great question, and it's a complicated answer if I can. And so the first thing I'd say is I don't speak for police, nor do I speak for bylaw. I speak for us as a city, and at the discretion of the mayor and council in this regard. And so just to provide clarity, look at the judgment that our Calgary police officers and our bylaw officers have exercised. They're not doing what some others are doing. They're not walking around, as you say, to take your language, and looking for people to give tickets to. That is not what we're doing. We're all out there looking to educate people first, and only the most egregious people. And I spoke to the deputy chief of police. They said they're not looking to charge people, but when it's right out there and so blatant, she said their officers will make that decision. And that's what I think. When I say decision, I think this is all about judgment. And it's been one of the things, if you go back to the flood, you go back to the power outages in Calgary, I think the thing that I would say is different about Calgary is the level of training our people have that work in those enforcement positions, and the level of judgment that those people use when they're in those positions. And they don't get excited. They don't get hot. They simply try to educate. And where that violation is so egregious, they may choose to take action. And you know what? We will do everything we can to support them. But that's almost a whole separate process over there. That's why the police are under the Police Act, and that's why bylaw officers, I can't tell them what to do. They are certainly led by their group, and they do what they feel is appropriate at the time. But Calgary's been great. They've been really great. I believe that, Montreal, for example, has handed out 1,000 tickets or thereabouts at $1,000 each. We're not there. We're not there, and we don't want to be there, because I actually believe Calgarians are different than that. And I'm not trying to compare us to Montreal. I love the city. But I'm trying to say that Calgarians are different, and we can be different. We just simply have to learn our way through it.
And just to follow up, just to clarify, no tickets have yet been issued. Is that correct? Like, up till this point, no one in Calgary has been ticketed for that reason?
My understanding is that 7 tickets have been issued by the Calgary Police Service. I think they're holding a press conference later today. And I know that I did check in with the director of Calgary Community Standards, and he advised me that There were 7 tickets also issued for consumption on the weekend, but as soon as the conversation turned to physical distancing, individuals were compliant, immediately understood what was required, and they took appropriate measures. So I think he was feeling good about that, but at the same time, he's looking forward to the future where we may need to get a few people's attention with regard to what's going on.
So no tickets for physical distancing violations.
The 7 tickets within police, I think, were related to physical distancing, I think. And
Yeah.
we could confirm that with police. Within bylaw, no tickets on physical distancing yet.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Next question, please.
Next is Crystal Ladris from City News. Go ahead, Crystal.
Hi there. This question is for Chief Sampson. Can you speak a little bit more to your visit to Crescent Road the other night and what limitations you might put in for traffic? Is that going to be a local traffic only restriction? And would that just be for that particular road or expanded into the surrounding communities or surrounding feeder streets?
So I've got a meeting at 2:30 with the Director of Roads to discuss exactly that and to understand what they feel is best. They're pros at that stuff, and they'll tell us what they think is the right thing at this point in time. We've received numerous complaints from residents in the area, and I've firsthand seen the challenges in the area, and those people who are creating the challenge, you know who you are. It was pretty extreme, and so we will limit traffic first and see if that fixes it. And if that doesn't, again, I'll be chatting with the Director of Roads, Troy McLeod, to determine whether or not roads need to be closed in the area. But our first step, so our whole goal is not to close all the roads, because as the more you close things down, the more you create a problem, right? And we push people from that location to another location. And so we're not trying to do those things. We're trying to take a balanced approach, and we think that people can get it if we sort of make it a little bit more serious for them and help them understand it. So I know I may sound naive. I don't think I am, but we're going to try a softer approach before we get really hard.
And are there any plans to do something similar, even if it's just having a look at maybe if something's happening in the area around, say, Scotsman's Hill?
So again, our whole piece is first off education, and trying to maybe it's limiting parking or those sorts of things after that. But again, we're and this is right from my bosses and my boss's bosses. We're trying to keep Calgary open. There's so much opportunity to get out. There's 8,000 hectares of park. There's 1,000 kilometers of trails, and I'm with His Worship when he says, please try and stay home. But at the same time, if you're going to go out, there's the opportunity to spread out. And so we're not trying to limit your opportunities. We're trying to give you opportunities to spread out. And I guess I'd say to you is that rather than going to Scotchman's Hill or up onto Crescent Road or those sorts of things, try and find the places less traveled in Calgary. There's a bunch of them, and I got out in the weekend. I found some of them, and in about an hour and a half, I think I passed 13 people, and we all gave each other great space. So there's opportunities in Calgary. It's a great city. We're blessed with our parks.
Next question, please.
Next is Darren Karras from Livewire. Sorry about the pronunciation. Go ahead, Darren.
That's okay. No worries. Thanks for taking the question. I'm not sure if this is for Mayor Nenshi or for Chief Tom Sampson. To this point, largely the neighborhood roadway openings, to increase space for pedestrians and walkers, those have gone largely unpublicized. there's been a lot of talk of more and more of these opening up around the city, but I'm just wondering, how are we letting neighborhoods or communities know that these are open, just to limit maybe their desire to go elsewhere in the city in order to get that exercise?
In short, Darren, we're not. It's not like it's a huge secret. It's easy for people to see what we've done, but we are actually trying not to say to people, hey, we've opened a lane on Memorial Drive in the lower deck of the Centre Street Bridge. Everyone come there. It's a river festival. What we are doing is we're being reactive in places where we see that there is crowding and frankly, people are trying to do the right thing, but there's just not enough space. Those are places where we're opening up roadway for that to be available. We'll probably have 3 or 4 more of those coming this weekend, but my intent is not to advertise those in advance because I do not want to send the message that everyone should come down. There's plenty of space now. And you know, it's important to remember too, I said earlier this week, if you don't live in a river community, the river pathway is not your park. I should have added, if you do live in the river community, the river pathway actually is your park. That's how your community was organized. So we want to make sure we're being fair to the people who live there in those places as well, that we're not overcrowding their green spaces. All right, next question, please.
Next is Bill McFarland from CTV Calgary. Go ahead, Bill.
This is for Mayor Nenshi, please. What are you expecting right now in terms of mass gatherings coming up? Do you anticipate extending your date beyond the end of June? And what sort of timeline do you have to watch for whether that's going to be necessary or not?
Bill, you got to that question so much more subtly than your colleague from CTV who asks me the same question at every press conference. You know, we had originally said that we would ban city events and permitted events from the city. By the way, that does not include one very large event in July until June the 30th, and we would revisit that in the early part of May. It's become very clear that we'll need to revisit that sooner rather than later and really make a decision on what, if any, easement of that rule we will put in place for July and August relatively quickly. So I imagine as we're really combing through the data and looking at the various options, that we'll probably have a decision on what we want to do post June 30th by the end of this week. Did you have a follow-up, Bill?
Any other guidance? Yes, I was just going to say, do you have any other guidance for any large events that are scheduled throughout the summer, maybe beyond that one?
Yeah, we've been in touch with a lot of both the large events and the smaller community events, helping them understand where the state of play is now and what may happen later. It's important for us to remember, if I'm not talking too much out of turn, it's important for us to remember that right now all city functions and all permits for functions on city land have been withheld until June 30th. It may well be that as things get eased, you know, over the course of May and June, we might start allowing smaller events again, but it'll be very unlikely that you'll wake up one morning and all of the restrictions will be lifted. You know, I've said this before, but it's not about opening the floodgates. It's about slowly turning the tap. And so folks who are organizing community festivals need to think hard about how can my festival happen with social distancing? How many people are there expected? What is the likelihood that we'll be able to be safe in this? And I know that a lot of these organizers are asking themselves exactly these questions right now. Next question, please.
Sorry, next is Adam McIver with Global News. Go ahead, Adam.
Thank you for taking my question, Mayor. I guess with the weather getting nicer, obviously the scooter sharing was quite popular last year. I know that's been postponed until further notice, but we've been hearing that the city has been in discussions with some of these scooter companies about a potential rollout in the next couple of months. I was wondering what kind of discussions those were and where we're at with that.
You know, I hope that we will be able to get to a place where that is allowed again. I will say that the vast majority of cities have suggested that is not right at this time for public health measures. I believe there are 9 cities in the world that have said yes, and every other city has said no. Ultimately, the way this is going to work is if Alberta Health gives very specific direction on this and they say no, then it's a no. If they say yes, then the city has to determine whether or not we want to continue that pilot project this year. Like, I'm a fan of these things. People love them. And I think the city should be doing things that people love. But right now, public health is our primary priority. And we will take advice from public health officials on that, as well as the advice of our own emergency management agency. So, I'm hopeful that we'll see those again soon. That's not something we're contemplating right this second, but it may well be that we'll get some direction from Alberta Health saying an absolute no or opening the door to it. All right, next. Did you want to add to that, Tom? You seems like you're walking close. All right. Go to the next question, please.
Next is Francis Bula with Globe and Mail. Go ahead, Francis.
Oh, hi. So here I am with my weirdo questions, non-Calgary questions, but I'm covering, and hi, Mayor, again.
Hi, Francis. As long as you're not listening to Kennedy at the same time as me this time.
I'm covering what's happening with transit out here in
Yes.
BC, where TransLink has announced they've had to lay off 1,500 people because there's no fund. They're losing so much money, and maybe delay some projects, although not the big federally funded ones to this point. I'd like to know what's happening there, because I know transit is a big hole in your budget, but it's covered by it's through the city budget, so there's a bit more resources there. So I'd like to know what's happening with general transit, if there's any reduction of service and layoffs being considered, and big projects that were planned.
Sure, I can cover all of that, and thank you so much for the questions. So we'll start with ridership. Transit ridership is down. Last I heard, 80% across the board, buses and trains. So obviously most people are staying home, so we're having far less use of transit. We have made a number of adjustments to our transit schedule so that it is down about 15%. The reason those numbers don't match is twofold. Number one is you actually want to allow for people to have distancing when they're on the bus or the train. So if you reduce the frequency too much, you're creating a dangerous situation for those that are still riding. And the thing that we are really very interested in is we have to remember that even if you're running a bus that only has 1 or 2 people on it, those 1 or 2 people have to get to work. They're not riding the bus for fun. And so you have to be able to provide some service to those folks who, by and large, are providing essential services. So and to date, we have not had to do, we've done some very minor layoffs on the management side in transit, but we have not had to do real big layoffs in transit because as people are ill, as they are self-isolating, we have fewer people available to work anyway. So we've been able to match our service to the people that are working. But you're absolutely right to say it's not sustainable. Sorry, I don't have the number on the tip of my tongue, but we are certainly losing tens of millions of dollars a month in transit ridership declines because people aren't paying their fares. So we cannot go on like this forever. And in the absence of a subsidy from the federal or provincial governments for transit operating, we will have to look at further cuts. If there's any silver lining to this, it is allowing us to think creatively about things that we've been talking about for a long time but have not actualized, including the use of transit vehicles for on-demand pilots, or also working with private providers for on-demand service where there's just not enough demand to justify full transit service. Does that answer your question, Francis?
The first part, and then big projects like expansion planned. Yeah.
So no big projects on hold at the moment. Construction is still considered an essential service in Alberta, and we strongly believe that this is a chance to really build stuff, to come out of this on the other side of this mountain, to hit the ground running. So the Green Line, for example, which is the largest public works project in Calgary's history, is expected to create 20,000 jobs. So no, we're not going to slow down on it. In fact, my intention is that the right thing to do would be for the provincial and federal governments to put more money into it so we can build even more of it and build and create even more jobs in the short term. All right, any follow-ups, Francis?
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We'll take one or two more questions. Next question, please.
Next is Alicia Steelberg with CTV. Go ahead, Alicia.
Hello, you've answered most of the questions. The only thing I was wondering is that Chief Sampson, you talked about trying to keep Calgary open. Edmonton's closed some of its dog parks, and also there's the popular McHugh Bluff Stairs there right by Crescent Drive. Are those areas potentially up for closure as well if they get too busy?
Thanks for your question. So our goal is was to keep the McHugh Bluff Stairs open. What our friends in Rhodes have done, because it's actually a Rhodes area, is made it one way up, and then you have to turn right at the top of the stairs and come down sort of a diagonal where you can get down to the bottom again. Our bylaw officers have been there from time to time monitoring because we're asking people to take turns going up the stairs and not pass each other as they go up those stairs. So I think we're working hard to keep things open, not closed, as I mentioned earlier. Does that answer it? I feel like I missed one part for you.
The only other part, yeah, that answered most of it. The only other part was just Edmonton has closed some of its dog parks and also made people put all of their dogs on leashes, so there's no off-leash areas in the city anymore. I didn't know if that's something that was an issue in Calgary.
So, well, certainly we've considered closing the dog park. Sorry, I missed that question for you. We've considered closing the dog parks, but our parks folks are sort of a parks ambassador program is out there with some of our bylaw officers, and they're working together to see whether we've got a problem. We certainly got a report back last week that some of those areas were operating at 50 and sometimes 75% capacity, but the general feeling of the staff who were reporting back at that time were saying that that it was appropriate. The thing I'd say to dog owners is you can even make that better as you get to the edge of the dog park area, where you're venturing out where regular walkers are. What a great opportunity to control your dog just a little bit earlier so that you don't have your dog running up to other folks who just aren't used to that kind of thing. So I've been proud that we've been able to keep it open. I hope we don't lose that ground.
All right, we'll take one final question.
Thank you.
Next is Terry Trembath with CBC. Go ahead, Terry.
I didn't expect my call to be taken. Thanks, guys. So I think the question has been kind of answered, but I'll just kind of ask this anyway. How far, maybe this is for Chief Sampson, but how far, are we prepared to go? I know that we want to keep the city open, but how far are we prepared to go if people just aren't listening? I was out on the weekend. I did see a lot of people on those pathways. I think everybody has good intentions, like you say. Some are there because it's their own community, and others are kind of traveling through. Could we ever get to a more harsh rule?
Chief is throwing this question to me, so I will say, Terry, I don't want to make it sound like there are a bunch of bad actors when people just want to see the water, when people just want to go for a stroll or a run or a bike or a blade along the pathways. But I also want to say that we got to be so careful. We've got to leave room for the people who live in those neighborhoods. I've heard from so many people who live in neighborhoods close to popular parks that on this weekend they opened the door and then just closed the door and felt very trapped inside their own home because there were just too many people out. We are lucky enough to live in a city that is full of green space and pathways. I went for a very long walk on a conference call on Monday for an hour and a half, and all I did was do loops around the pathways in my own neighborhood. And I noticed that people were being very careful. In my neighborhood, it's very popular to go for a walk after dinner, and people were being super careful. Not enough people were wearing masks, but people were being super careful about it. So your real question was, how far are we willing to go? If it saves lives, we're willing to go far. And you only need to look at other places in the world that have been successful at flattening the curve and seeing how far they've had to go. And I don't want to be forced into that. I don't want to be in a situation, in New York City, you've heard me talk about what's going on there. People say some scientists say that if they had called these restrictions one day earlier, they would have halved the number of deaths. If they had called them one day later, they would have doubled the number of deaths. And so if we look around and we can see people in much tighter quarantine, we can see grocery stores saying one person per house and that's it. We can see restaurants closing for pickup and having delivery only. And I don't want to go to any of those places if we don't have to. But ultimately, the power to deal with this is in the hands of Calgarians. So, bravo to the vast, vast majority of Calgarians. We've done something very few people in the world have done, which is we've really started to flatten that curve. We cannot let up now. A friend of mine said that saying the curve is flattening, we should ease restrictions now, is like saying the parachute appears to be working, let's stop with the parachute now, let's cut it off now. That's not quite the right answer. It's not the right answer at all. But I just really am appealing to Calgarians, clear heads. Be purposeful in every decision you make and say, as much as I want this, as much as I'm aching to do this, is it the right thing to do? And our rule in the waste business, when you're deciding whether to throw something in the green bin, the blue bin, or the black bin, is you always err on the side of caution. And the rule is, when in doubt, throw it out. Put it in the black bin if you don't know if it goes in the other two. And I think this is a similar rule here. When in doubt, don't go out. If you have to ask yourself, is this a safe thing to do? It's not a safe thing to do. That's probably the rule we should all follow. So we'll wrap up there then. Thank you, everybody, for your great questions. Remember, clean hands, clear heads, open hearts. Stay home to protect those who can't. Be kind to everybody. Together we'll save lives. Thank you all. We'll talk on Friday.